Okay, so here we go with my review of Transformers Classics Megatron. As you can see here, we have Megatron in his alt mode, which is that of a gun. I believe when this figure came out, it was probably the first time in a long time that Megatron was actually in an alt mode that was actually that of a gun. Prior to that, he was like a tank or some other kind of weird vehicle or something. So yeah, it was kind of nice to actually have Megatron back into a gun mode. If we look here, here's his gun mode here. It is kind of funky looking. It's not obviously a realistic gun. It's kind of like a futuristic, kind of space age looking laser gun or something like that. Some people have kind of compared it to that of like a Nerf gun looking thing. I don't think that really does it justice, but it is kind of Nerf-esque. But I actually like it. I think the color scheme's pretty nice. The only real complaints would be this orange, kind of yellowish plastic here. But, you know, the child gun safety laws or whatever it is, being what they are here, they have to kind of color it that way. It does have the nice Decepticon symbol here. Let's turn around. There's the other side. Pretty much the same thing. Another Decepticon symbol there. He does have this trigger here. It does work. Makes a little nice clicking sound. And his scope here, you actually can kind of look through it. See if I can get that on the camera there. So it's kind of a greenish tinted plastic there. There is actually, I think, like a little crosshair in there. It doesn't actually magnify or anything. It's just basically, you know, two pieces of colored green plastic. But yeah, it's a rather nice little gun mode, I think. He is a bit of a shell former, in the sense that this whole section here is kind of like a shell, so it kind of snaps over and conceals a lot of his robot mode. And you'll kind of see that when we get in here to the transformation. So let's go ahead and start with that transformation. As I was just saying, basically you want to split this part here off from the gun here. It is like a shell, so it just basically, it's two pieces that are connected together, so you just kind of unfold them here like so, and they open up. And let's pop this one out here like that. So yeah, there he is. So he is a bit of a shell former in a sense, and it's got this nice kind of a neon green kind of a plastic tinted inside here, which I actually kind of like that in a sense. Again, he does kind of have an odd color scheme compared to the old G1 style Megatron. Very, very bright as opposed to the overall kind of dull silver look of the old school Megatron. But once you get those down, fold them down like so. So yeah, you can kind of see, let's pan up here a bit. So you can kind of see his robot mode there. Most of it is concealed by those panels. And he's kind of all contorted up here like a pretzel almost. You know, these are his legs, here's his torso, his arm here, his other arm there, his waist. So yeah, it's very weird the way he kind of transforms here. He's kind of like spaghetti all over the place in a sense. So next, what you want to do is take his scope out here and just kind of move it out of the way. And this is actually his arm, so you can just kind of fold that out like that and just move this back into place. And his legs are actually kind of locked into this trigger mechanism here. There's a little tab here on what is his knee, and just kind of pop that out. And then this whole trigger assembly here is on this little hinge, and that'll just move forward and rotate up and out of the way. And then his other arm here kind of pegs in there to the bottom of his foot. Just kind of get that out of the way and rotate it up. And what you're going to want to do is just rotate his legs down like so. And just straighten them out and rotate these around. And same with this leg here. And let's turn him around so we're facing what will become his front. Oops. Just kind of adjust everything here. This part here is actually his torso. And I actually like the way they did this here. What you do is it's on this little arm and it's hinged, so you just lift this whole part up and over and then rotate it around, and then that's going to just go down and lock into place there. The bad thing about that is that because of the transformation, you can't turn him at the waist there. So he's pretty much locked in. And let's go up here a bit and look at his arm. Then this basically you just rotate it in, it hinges in and locks into place like that. And then rotate him about the shoulder and swing his arm down like so. Most of these joints are ratcheted, so yeah, he's very clicky sounding when you're transforming him. As far as other arm here, it's on another arm similar to his waist or to his torso assembly. So it's hinged, so you just rotate this up, rotate that down, and just lock it into place. And do the same thing with his shoulder, rotate it around the shoulder there. Move his arms down. Now for all this stuff here hanging off his shell, this peg here will go into this orange colored plastic slot there. So you just line that up and snap it into place like that. And then these do bend down like that. So you can see these kind of end up becoming like his wings. If you want there, or like a cape or something. I actually kind of like that. These little tabs here, they do fold in. So don't forget to kind of do that when you transform him. And that kind of flattens everything out there. Now you want to do is pull out his feet here on the underside. Let's see if I can get in there. There you go. Pull out his front foot and his heel. Same thing here. Get the heel out. And then his actual like shins here, these actually slide up. So just push them up until they kind of lock into place. Like so. And this one here is not locking. There it goes. Up all the way. And for his hands, there's a little flap here that you just open up. And then you pull out his fist like that. And same thing here, just lift this flap up. Be careful with these flaps, they do want to kind of pop out. I've had them come off on me a couple times. This one here is a little bit harder to get to. There it goes. And then just close that back up. And let's rotate that down and around. And then the last part would be his head. And you just flip this little panel down. There's his head in there. And lift the whole piece up and close that back up. And there you have Megatron in his robot mode. Let's kind of flatten those down. But yeah, there he is. And let's pan out a bit there. So yeah, there he is in his robot mode. Again, he's kind of got a very different color scheme going compared to the old school Megatron. Let's pan in here a bit and look at some of the detail on him. There you can see his head. I actually like his head sculpt. They managed to keep enough of the G1 style helmet and the kind of like the crest over his eyes or his eyebrows there. I do like the light piping in there. He's got the nice green kind of eyes as opposed to the old school red ones. Nice big Decepticon symbol on the chest there. Let's pan down here a bit. And there's his waist. Pretty well detailed. I do kind of like the legs there. They're kind of purple with the gold trim in there. And the feet. You can kind of see some of that detail in there. Let's pan out a bit. And let's rotate him around again. There's that shell. You know, some people may not like that hangs off the back. I don't mind it that much. It is relatively flat and in line. It does kind of look like his wings. So I kind of like it. It kind of gives him a bit of a different look. And I think, honestly, if you were to take those away, if you kind of just picture it there, he would look a bit, you know, kind of anemic in a sense that he's kind of skinny without those, really. And especially when he's got that big honking cannon hanging off there, it looks kind of silly. So I think these wings kind of help to fill him out a bit. Speaking of his cannon, it does mount differently. It's on the bottom side of his forearm as opposed to the upper top part of his forearm there. But he does have the cannon there on his arm. articulation on this guy. Again, all these joints are mostly ratcheted. Let's pan out. And let's look here. His shoulders can rotate around 360. His head's on a little ball joint here, so that can pivot around. You can swing him out here like that, and these go up and down at the elbow. Wrists don't move. Again, there's no rotation at the waist because of the way he transforms. The legs do rotate around 360 here and go in and out. I think you can rotate, yeah, see around the knees, you can kind of rotate those in and out. Feet and ankles don't really rotate unless you count these, which are basically part of the transformation. So yeah, that's pretty much his articulation. A pretty good level of articulation, I think. The good thing is, because these are all ratcheted, you don't have to worry too much about them getting real floppy on you. So there he is, and he stands pretty well. He does get a little kind of heavy in the back there, kind of wants to tilt back, but he's got the nice feet that kind of help stabilize him there. So let's pan out here and let's talk about a little bit of a size comparison. And I'll bring in his Classics counterpart, Classics Optimus Prime. These guys here are both Voyager class, if I'm not mistaken. So you can kind of see there that Megatron is a little bit taller than Optimus. Basically, Optimus's head is almost in line with his shoulders. So yeah, he's definitely taller than Prime. So that's a little size comparison there. Let's take him out of the way. And let's bring him back into frame. But yeah, I'd say this is a really nice figure. It's definitely a different take on Megatron. It does have a kind of funky color scheme. It doesn't turn into a Classics, you know, realistic looking gun, but it is something different, and it is an actual gun mode. So yeah, I'd say pick this guy up. He's one of the better Classics figures. It is Megatron. He is a gun. He's got great articulation. With that, I'll go ahead and end this, and that's my review of Transformers Classics Megatron.